You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz.
Make it simple, make it memorable, make it inviting to look at, make it fun to read. Leo Burnett.
You're listening to WPC UK, the place to be if you are looking to grow and streamline your business in 2023. I'm your host, Donna Eade, and I'll be walking you through processes, productivity and planning, along with bringing you business experts with knowledge to share. Let's make 2023 the year of success in your business.
Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am so delighted to have you here for another guest episode. Today I have Vanessa with me. She is a Google Ads expert and a website SEO expert. So we are going to be jumping into all things Google Ads today. Now, I did want to point out that whilst we mention figures, numbers, conversion rates, etc. in this podcast, it really is something that you need to dig into with your business on a personal basis, because what works for one person isn't going to necessarily work for another. So it is well worth having a conversation with somebody who is an expert in the field and getting a good idea on what might work for you, your business, and your keywords. With that being said, let's jump into the show.
We have had some issues, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you for real talk now. This is the third attempt at getting this done. We've had some recording issues. We had some timetabling issues, but we're here now, and hopefully it's going to be third time's the charm, right, Vanessa?
Absolutely. Third time lucky. We can do it.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about Google Ads today, but before we jump into that, I would love it if you could tell the listeners a little bit about your background, how you ended up talking about Google Ads and helping people with their Google Ads.
So I'm Vanessa from VFB Marketing, which is a small digital marketing consultancy based in Harpenden. And we specialize in SEO and Google Ads, so search engine marketing. So a lot of small businesses set up a website and then it doesn't get any traffic, doesn't attract the right customers. So it's really to attract the right people to your website and so that they buy ultimately. And there's so many businesses, as I said, they've had a site possibly for years, and it could also be attracting the wrong sort of people. So it's just making sure that you can be found, but you're also getting the right people to your website who will convert.
Love that. And it is so important, I think, for us to remember that our website, and I talk to my audience all the time about how their website is their virtual shop window, and so many people don't have like high street stores these days, and with the wedding industry in particular, it's not something that we sort of have unless we're sort of a bridal salon or something. So it is really important that your website is reflective of you as a company. And I have to say, there are still some really terrible websites out there in the wedding market, because we're not experts in websites. And even with, the really easy to use Wix and Squarespace and dump a theme on, blah, 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 some people really haven't upgraded since they first put their website out, and it really shows. And so I think always a little bit of effort into your website is a great thing. So your company particularly deals with the SEO and then the Google Ads, working with the SEO to get people seen by the right people, which is awesome. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was social media ads. So for me, I've done some Facebook ads. I've never done Google Ads. to be honest with you, scares the life out of me, but we'll come on to that a bit later, I'm sure. But I have run Facebook ads. So I thought it would be really good if you could kind of tell us what you see as being the main differences between the two, because I think a lot of people think, they've seen the stats on how many billions of people are on Facebook, and it's like, well, my audience are bound to be there, so I should advertise on there. But then we forget that actually Google's like the biggest search engine in the world. So surely that would be a better spot. So if you could tell us the differences, that would be fab.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think people forget, and I've talked about this, I guess, before, that, with digital marketing, a lot of people think it's just, social media, but I've been in digital marketing for a long time, and back in the day, it wasn't all about social media, and it's grown exponentially. It's just exploded, and I think it's just because it's more relatable, and people feel it's easier to manage that side of things. Whereas, like you said, Google Ads, might feel a bit scary, and SEO. So, there are over 8.5 billion searches a day on Google. So, I can guarantee you there's going to be someone looking for your service or your product. So it's not to be underestimated. But yes, it can seem very daunting and very scary. There are lots of differences between paid social ads and PPC ads or Google ads. So PPC stands for pay-per-click ads. The main difference, obviously, is that they're two completely different platforms. So one is a search engine, and the other one is a social media platform. And when you're on a search engine, you can obviously bid on certain keywords. So you're targeting a specific keyword. So you would basically say, I'd like to target these keywords that are relevant to my business, that will attract my target audience to my website. So you can choose those keywords that you want to bid on. And on social media, the targeting is mainly based on interest targeting or behavior targeting. So they are very different in terms of targeting options. And that also feeds into, your buyer's journey. So if you're targeting someone on a search engine based on a specific keyword, those people are obviously actively looking for a specific thing, whatever that keyword might be, whether that's wedding photography in Hertfordshire, whatever that keyword is, they are at a different stage in the buyer's journey. Whereas on social media, typically, they're not actively necessarily looking for something. So you're sort of pushing your ad out to an audience that you think are relevant, which is great because you can obviously target your audience. You can target a very relevant audience, but they might not be ready to buy at that point. So their mindset is slightly different. They're on social media to have a little browse, have a little snoop, and do lots of other things and scroll endlessly like I do. But on Google, on a search engine, I mean, they're just they've done potentially their research. So again, you can target them at different stages of the journey. But typically you would target them based on, they've done their research and they're ready to buy. So the targeting is very different. And then formats, Facebook ads are very visual, and generally speaking, Facebook ads are cheaper. But again, it might take longer to convert. So ultimately, it really depends on your objectives. And it's just understanding, what are you trying to achieve? Do you want to drive awareness? Do you want to generate sales? Do you want to promote an event or possibly a new product or a new service? So, it just really boils down to what you're trying to achieve, and then you just figure out, which is the right platform for me.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because for me, I haven't really thought about it like that. Like, when somebody is on Facebook and they search wedding photographer, they're gonna get hits just like they would on a search engine. However, the Facebook ads, you're not bidding on a keyword. You're looking for people who are engaged. And not everybody puts their relationship status on Facebook. So you're likely to be
Yeah,
missing a lot of people. And some people
absolutely.
are engaged for like 5 years, 10 years, you know, infinitely engaged, never get married. So you're still targeting people that might not want you. Whereas if you're targeting
Yes.
for the keyword wedding photographer on Google, then people who are
Hmm.
searching for wedding photographers are going to see your ad. So that is something that I think is just like blown my mind a little bit, because I struggle. You do, and personally for me, I've struggled with targeting people on Facebook
Hmm.
because there's so little um information there for me to go on. So for me being a B2B business, like I'm searching for people who are in the wedding industry to become part of my membership, and you can't,
Hmm.
that wedding industry is not an industry according
Hmm.
to anybody else except for us lot that are in it, I think. They don't,
Hmm.
it's not like manufacturing, it's not like retail, it's not the wedding industry, you know, it doesn't come like that. It's there's photographers, there's
Yeah.
bakers, there's caterers, there's musicians. So you've either got to kind of target all of those different things, which means that you are highly diluting your budget because it's trying to hit so many different people all at once,
Yeah.
or you're not getting the people because you can't target for it. But if you were
Hmm.
on Google, then you've got a different set of search terms there that you can look for. So instead of trying to find the people in the industry, I can look for
Hmm.
people who are searching for help with my wedding business. And
Yes.
then I'm going to get the people. So that's like, that's completely blown my mind. And yeah, for everybody listening, like, it's whatever your business is, you can
Hmm.
perhaps target the people who are interested in the area that you work in, but they're not necessarily searching for you and therefore don't necessarily want to buy from you. So I love
Yeah.
the idea of Google Ads being your part of your sales funnel, in that respect
Yeah.
of it's part of the buyer's journey, and your
Hmm.
social ads being more brand awareness and making people know, aware that you're there. um
Yeah.
that I think is a good combination. So thank you for that, Vanessa. Little
It's all
golden
right.
nugget there. Love it when we get golden nuggets, guys.
You got it.
Oh
No,
dear.
it is quite hard to get your head around, if you don't do it day in, day out, and if you haven't done Google Ads before.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just are a little bit daunted by the whole setup process and everything else. And then it can be quite expensive. I think that's the other thing. But whichever platform you choose, you still have to invest enough to be able to find your audience, optimize on an ongoing basis. So when I set up Google Ads campaigns and paid social, I do paid social as well. But if I set those up, I don't just, they don't just, I just don't just leave them. I don't just let them run and that's it. They have to be managed on an ongoing basis. And like I said, you have to make sure you've invested enough to be able to test what's working, find your audience, and then optimize, to just make sure that you are reaching your objectives. So
Yeah.
it takes time.
For sure. So when it comes to Google Ads, it's a little bit
Mm.
different to social, because on social we're putting up Instagram size images and Facebook size images, and we're putting out images that we can put text over.
Mhm.
What what is the ad setup on Google? Because I think a lot of people just don't even know the basics of Google Ads and what they actually look like and what you can do with them. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you can get different formats, but the main ones, so if you go to Google and put in a keyword, wedding photographer, you can either, depending on what you're offering, so if you're a product-based business, you would typically run a shopping ad. You might run text ads, but the shopping ads are the visual image ads at the top of the page, which show the product. So
Yeah.
you would use a product feed for those, and it would pull through the images from your website. But if you're a service-based business, you would typically run a text ad, which is literally just text. You would create the ad So you have full control over the ad copy. But those are the two main formats. So either sort of the shopping ads, which are very image heavy and are very enticing, so they get really good click-throughs. And then the text ads. You can also run banner ads or display ads, they're called, which normally run on different third-party websites, so partner sites. But again, and also on YouTube and other places, so you can run video ads and banner ads, which are more image heavy focused. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're just starting out, because it could spend a lot, or it couldn't really generate sort of conversions or sales or inquiries. So it's sort of, if you've got extra budget, that's probably worth investing into. But it is again more from an awareness point of view or from a retargeting point of view. So you could run those, but I wouldn't do that to begin with.
Yeah. So talking about the cost, and I know it's like how long is a piece of string kind of figures, but if we were to decide to set up a Google ad for our business, we're wanting to get people through into our funnel, you know, what would we be looking at as a good benchmark for the amount of money that we would need to put into it and the length of time we would need the ad to run to kind of see results?
Well, again,
no, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, this is really, I mean, there's no easy answer, because I'm just going to say depends, which is just it's not a great answer, probably not what you want to hear. But it does depend. It depends on whether you're product-based, service-based, business. It depends on what your objectives are. It depends on what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. And so the way it typically works is you pay per click. So again, based on the industry, the cost per click can vary. So it can vary massively from 50p a click to £5 a click. So there is a big variance depending on your sector. But you would basically, so if you were a service-based business, you were trying to drive leads or inquiries, you would just work backwards from the number of inquiries that you wanted to achieve on a monthly basis, for example. So if the cost per click on average was £1 and you invested £500 a month, that would buy you 500 clicks. And then it depends on your sort of average conversion rate. So not all of those 500 clicks are going to convert into an inquiry. I mean, it'd be amazing if it did. So only a certain percentage.
And aren't there industry averages on those kind of things? Because I know with like open rates on emails, there's an industry sort of standard for percentage. Is there with you, if somebody came to you, would you be able to say, okay, in your industry, the average conversion is?
There's certain industries where it's really high, so it's legal or financial, or tech, for example, sectors. But the rest, I would say, yes, there are sort of averages, but I would normally go into the platform and basically look at certain keywords that client would want to bid on, and then it would give me those sort of figures. It would say this is your roughly your average cost per click for that keyword. But again, so you could basically use that as for your modeling, forecasting, to see, how many clicks your budget would buy you. But it's best to sort of get it up and running and also test it, because obviously every keyword's different. But on average, I would say, typically you'd be spending sort of around £1.50, and then you would just work backwards from that. So how many inquiries do you want to generate based on your conversion rate? How many inquiries would you get from those number of clicks? So if you were to invest £500, for example, and you got 500 clicks based on a £1 cost per click, and your conversion rate was 1%, you'd get 5 inquiries a month, which isn't a huge amount. On a 5% conversion rate, it would be 25 inquiries a month. So it just depends how the conversion rate, how high or low that is, and how effective your website is. If you're driving really good traffic to your website, how well does your website then convert those people? Is it really clear what you want those people to do? So you could create landing pages to make sure that you convert those people better. So there's lots of different things to sort of take into consideration.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I would always work backwards from what is your target. What do you want to, what do you need to achieve?
Yeah. And I think it's something to remember as well. When you see like the shopping ads, and that's going to be
Mm,
for people that are going to be doing sort of generating the volume. They want lots
mm,
of people to buy their thing. Whereas in the wedding industry, you're looking at a service that has a lot higher cost than those shopping ads will have, more likely. So you're
yeah,
not looking for volume, you're looking for the quality, the smaller amount, because you can
mhm,
convert that smaller amount and it's going to be a bigger um, pound amount for you in the back end there if you convert them. So as long as you're doing that, and
yes,
I think it's very important what you said there to do the landing pages specifically for your ad, because you can then really make it enticing for them to actually give you their information and convert them to a lead. And as long as
yeah,
your funnel works all the way from then getting them as a lead to actually following up with them, getting in front of them, having a meeting with them, and converting them to a sale, then
yeah,
it may cost you £1, £2 per click. You may only get 5 leads from that a month. But if you can convert one of those leads, you spent
mhm,
£500 to get a £2,000 order. That
mhm,
might well be worth it
absolutely.
for you. So I think it's really important to actually play with those numbers and work with somebody like Vanessa who understands what it's all about, so that you
Mm,
can do that working backwards and that modeling, because you might actually find that for you that
mhm.
works better. And when you're doing the Google ad, do you just target one keyword with an ad, or do you put multiple
Oh
in?
no, you'd have a whole, I mean, you would, depending on your budget, but you would target lots of keywords. So
Okay.
again, depends on your business. So if you are an e-commerce business, you would need to target a lot more keywords if you're running search ads. But yeah, as a service-based business, you could start with a small number of keywords and make sure that they're the really highly targeted keywords. But yeah, you would definitely have a number of keywords per ad group.
Okay. And so if somebody was going to come to you, and I just want to sort of get us down to some sort of figure. If somebody was
Mm,
going to come to you and say, I have this ad budget,
yeah.
at what point would you say that's not going to be enough? It's not worth starting with that. So where's kind of this is kind of the minimum amount you want to start with to try to test it, to have a look and see if it's going to work for you.
Yeah, I mean, that is really hard to say because I think if you're happy to bring in 5 inquiries a month based on a 5% conversion rate, then you could start there, but that would be, again, again, it would start. I mean, I would basically say if you're happy with a small number of conversions and you think you can convert them to a high value booking, then you could start to sort of, walk it up from, 100, £200 investment a month.
Mm,
But, I would just have to be realistic that you have to stick with it and you have to run the campaigns for at least 3 months. You
yeah.
can't just sort of,
That was what I was going to ask as well, is
yeah,
the length of a
yes,
campaign, because it's different, because
yeah.
Facebook tends to behave a lot quicker. So what I've seen with mine is I did an advert not long ago. It was £100 advert, and I did it at £100 budget, should I say, and I did it for 18-ish days, and I got
Hmm.
62 leads out of that,
Hmm.
which was
Hmm.
fantastic. But it's because of the type of ad that it was. And I could
Hmm.
see that quicker with Facebook. But I think with Google, you need to give it that little bit more of a longevity to actually start seeing the results and play with it, like you were saying, to analyze it and just make sure that you're targeting the right keywords and that the leads that are coming through are the types of leads that you want. So I think that's
Yeah,
important.
I think it is the type of leads because if you're just getting email addresses, that's a different lead so people signing up to a newsletter or signing up for an event, that is a very different lead to someone inquiring about your business and
Yeah.
a specific service, that they're hopefully going to go on to book.
Yeah.
So, and depending on your competitors and depending on how you compare price wise to those, because there are going to be other people bidding on ads. There are going to be, a lot of competitors in any given sector. So you've got to look at how you compare to those. And that could impact how many people inquire. And do you, to what extent do you put your price on your landing page, for example? So it depends on what you're trying to sell, the value of what you're trying to sell, and how good an inquiry. If that's a really high quality inquiry, which typically it is, that will convert to a booking, then obviously that's worth the investment. So that is your return on ad spend, which is also called ROAS. So you can then work backwards to say, what is my ideal sort of target ROAS? So how much can I invest? If I'm going to see the returns, it's definitely worth it. Then you don't really need to, it doesn't matter how much you then invest if you're getting the returns at the end.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to let it run for long enough, and you need to just understand your audience. It's like, it's the same with meta ads. You do need to understand your audience and find the people who are going to convert and that are the best quality sort of conversions or inquiries. So that's why you have to sort of allow enough time for that to bed in. And that is the same with meta ads. You do need to allow, normally enough time to sort of find your audience that will convert. But yeah, it is important to just have that 3-month period to set up the campaigns and let them run. But it is, some keywords might not convert, so then you have to pause them. And some keywords might do really well, or they might get to the page but not inquire. Then you have to optimize your landing page further. So there are just lots of different factors to consider. But it is very effective in converting.
Yeah, I completely agree. Lovely. Okay, so I've got one little bonus question for you. And this is because I see it in my inbox often, and I think other people who've got Google accounts probably see it in their inbox often. And it is this, Google sending you £400 of free Google ads when you spend £400 on Google ads. And I always sort of look at it, and not that I think that it's a scam, because I know it's coming from Google, so I know it's fine. But is it? I don't know. It just doesn't feel like, what are they? What do you mean they're going to give me 400? Is it worth doing that? If we were going to decide to give Google Ads a try, and we've got that email, is it worth going through that and getting that extra £400? I assume that it is, like, an £800 budget's get better than a £400 budget.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's definitely legit, and you can definitely use it, and it's definitely helpful. I think you need to invest more beyond that, ideally. I mean, for clients who when it works, and then you just keep the Google ads running. But this is basically Google's way of getting new customers on board, especially smaller businesses who don't have massive budgets. So you can use it. You've just got to have a promo code. Just make sure that you have a promo code when you're applying, and then you put that promo code on in the back end, and then once you've spent the £400, they will then match that. So you have got a total of £800 to spend once you've spent the initial amount. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility and freedom budget wise to test further. And ideally you would keep them running beyond that. I mean, Facebook or meta ads are a bit more tactical, so you can sort of switch them on and off more often. Google ads, you would typically ideally leave them running if they're working, because they're bringing in the business, they're bringing in either the sales or the inquiries that you need on an ongoing basis, rather than sort of running a specific promo campaign, which you can do very tactically and sort of short-lived on Facebook. But yeah, it's valid, and if you get one, then use it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think that's really good. And I think what I've sort of gleaned from today's conversation is that, it's not one is better than the other. but they can be used in different ways to kind of target your audience. And even where I said, you know, awareness on Facebook, but sales on Google is not completely true, because you just said there that actually when you've got a promotion running, that Facebook is, you know, because I think it works. You can't target as well, but it works a little quicker. So you still need, like Facebook say, you need like 3 days or something for the ad to start running and actually sort of find its feet. So don't just do a 3-day ad, because you won't get much result. I think it works a little bit quicker. So for those promotion purposes, Facebook would be a good way. But for your long-term, you know, funneling in people on a consistent basis, Google is the way to go. And I think that it's a really good overview of Google Ads. So I want to thank you so much, Vanessa, for coming on and sharing Google Ads with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a good conversation, and we've done it. Yes.
Good. Yes.
So before we sign off, I would love it if you would tell people where they can find you. So if they're interested in running Google Ads, where can they get hold of you?
Yeah, so my website is vfbmarketing.com, so you can book an appointment with me online. Or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm more on Instagram than Facebook, so under VFB Marketing. So you can get in touch either way, just DM me, or, you know, get in touch, email me, vanessa@vfbmarketing.com, and we can just have a chat. So yeah.
Fabulous. I will have all of those details in the show notes for you guys, so you can head over there to find all that information and connect with Vanessa. Thank you again, Vanessa, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Until next week.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.